Good morning. I'm Laura Rainwater. I'm one of the pastors at Parker United Methodist Church, and I am recording this on the last day of our Scuba Vacation Bible School. It has been a great week of having nearly 200 kids, ages 4 all the way through elementary school. They've had a great time. They've learned a lot, and they've played a lot, and they have danced a lot and sung a lot. And I have to say, I see mostly smiles. I see mostly excitement as these kids are learning about God's great big love for them. Not only that, but there are so many amazing volunteers who are making sure that our Vacation Bible School is successful, whether they are the youth that are leading the teams of kids, or the parents or the grandparents that are serving in a variety of ways, or just some of our members who have a heart for serving our kids, whether they're working in a room, leading a Bible study, leading games, or even providing snacks. I have to tell you, we sent out a notice saying we need snacks, especially for our volunteers, and you guys gave so much. Believe me, nobody went hungry this week. We are so grateful for the ways that you support our children's ministry, the ways you have supported our Vacation Bible School. You shared it with people so that we could have almost 200 kids, and that was definitely more than we had last year. As I was thinking about that, one of the groups of kids that participates in our VBS excuse me, are our children from our Little Blessings preschool. You know, during the summer, we have a smaller group. It's more like their own kind of camp, but they've been participating. And so the teachers have been leading and guiding those preschoolers throughout our VBS event. And it reminded me, people often ask, how many of our families from Little Blessings become a part of our church? They come to church, they begin to worship, and they become members. And I have to tell you, we don't keep exact numbers, but anecdotally, so many of you have shared with me that your kids or your grandkids used to go to Little Blessings or are going to Little Blessings now. I know when we started our 10:30 Spark service on Sunday mornings, almost 2 years ago, one of the ideas would meet the needs of those families with young kids, those families that are exactly part of the Little Blessings community. And we have seen some of our Little Blessings families participate, or some of our families in our church that are also part of Little Blessings that get involved in our Spark service. There is a great connection that we have between the church and the preschool. We definitely don't see ourselves as independent or different, but we work to be a part of each other's programs and ministries. And I want you to know that it is one of the best things that we offer. And we have an amazing staff, both within the church and within the preschool, that work together on a regular basis to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our young ones and of our families in our Parker community. So that's one reason why we started our Spark service at 10:30 on Sunday mornings about 2 years ago. The other is that we thought if we were going to have 2 services, that we make them different. And so our Spark service was designed to be for families, to be for kids, but to be for any person of any age who just wants a different experience. A little bit more laid back, I guess you could say, a little less formal, definitely a little less traditional. I mean, we do sing praise and worship songs. They are from videos, even though we do have members of our church that lead in the singing. And then one of our amazing musicians, Kurt, helps play the piano along with the music that's being sung. We provide ways for people to engage with all of their senses in worship, and that includes communion every Sunday. So the reason we did Spark was to meet the needs of people that might not feel as comfortable in our more traditional service at 9 o'clock. And of course, there are people that come, especially visitors, come to the 10:30 because it's later. And they'll often attend Spark, and we'll tell them that this is different than our 9 o'clock, but to check out both and see what fits. Because we don't have to be a church where we only have one offering, one style of worship. We want to meet as many needs of a variety of people in our community, whether it's our families of our preschoolers or grandparents that are raising their grandchildren or bringing their grandchildren to church, or just being a place where we can let the kids be kids. We often say that. Because another thing that I've heard, especially for families that have found their way into the Spark service and really appreciate it, is they'll often say that when they were growing up, if they went to church, there was this idea that children were to be seen but not heard. Have you ever heard that before? Did you experience that at some level when you were growing up? Especially people my age, around my age and older. How many of you have said that, yeah, you went to church every Sunday, but boy, your parents made sure you sat still and maybe you could color on an envelope or a piece of paper, but it was about sitting like a little adult. And if there's anything I've seen, number one, I am not an educator. I do not work with children in that way. But something I've seen over our VBS is that our kids are learning through play. Our kids are learning through games. Our kids are listening even if we don't think they are. Not only do we know this from Vacation Bible School, but we see this in our Spark service. How many of our kids can retell a part of the story, even if they've been playing with toys or they've been playing with musical instruments or they're working on some of the crafts that Miss Noel offers for them? It just reminds me of that image of Jesus with the disciples. And I found it particularly in Matthew chapter 19. Jesus says to the disciples and to the crowd around him, "Let the children come to me, and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of heaven belongs." If we read the stories and we read about Jesus' interactions with other people, many, especially in Matthew, because it's the most Jewish of Gospels, but you read this in Luke as well, this idea that religion is for people that fully understand and they have to be a certain age. We also know the culture was like that. Children were to be seen and not heard. Our children are to be born into the family, but not until they grow up can they participate in the life of the community. Jesus is also talking to religious leaders that are more apt to exclude people that don't fit within the particular box than they are to open the box so that all people might come in, all people might feel welcome. I'm sharing this as I get ready to preach on Sunday, our last sermon from our hospitality sermon series. How are we welcoming like Jesus? How are we making sure that our doors are wide open for all people? And we do that by remembering that Jesus said, don't exclude, don't close the doors, don't tell the kids not to come, but you bring them. You bring those that are often excluded. You bring those into the community that often feel that they have not been seen or have not been heard. Who are the people that you can think of that have been told that? Who are the people that you've seen or experienced or met that you could just see in something in their face that says, do I belong here? How can we let everyone know that God's love is for everyone? How do we continue to embrace the ministries for our kids, our families, so that they don't feel they have to fit within a particular box of what church looks like, but instead we can be our authentic selves? Whether we're a little squirmy because we're 3 years old, or we're a little squirmy because that's just how our brain works, or we're just a little squirmy because we're more physically active than just sitting down and listening. As we continue to explore what ministry looks like for all people, I invite you to let us know what is working for you. Let us know what you are excited about. I know that even my daughter, who's 17 years old, has said that she believes Spark is one of the most amazing and important things that our church can offer because it is so different, because it is so designed for people to explore their faith in ways that they might not feel they can. But I invite us all to figure out, what is it that speaks to our hearts? What is it that we need to continue to grow, to continue to feel like we have been seen and that we have been heard? because we all at times have felt like we were told not to. But instead, God opens up the entire kingdom of heaven, especially for those who feel like they've been excluded. It's been a busy time in the church between annual conference and Vacation Bible School, and we're getting ready for another hospitality moment on July 4th. So if you are willing and able to take this hospitality sermon series deep into your heart and to imagine how might you welcome people like Jesus, let us know, and we've got some ways that we can share with you. But now know that God's love is offered to you. Know that you are seen in God's eyes as a beloved one. You don't have to change. You don't have to be perfect. Instead, we're all growing. We're all learning. And we're all counting on that amazing grace that surrounds us all. So go in peace, friends, and I'll see you on Sunday.